Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver. We are so grateful you decided to join us today. Whether you are with us in person or watching online, we want you to know you are welcome here. We are so very grateful you have chosen to spend time with us. We are a place, a space, and a face of love. We are a spiritual community teaching ancient wisdom and new thought principles that empower our lives and the lives of others. We invite you to join us every Sunday at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place at 216 South Grant Street in Denver, Colorado, and online on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. This is a place where all people, in all our diversity, on all our different paths, and with all our individual and unique expressions of life, may come together to celebrate our inherent oneness as perfect manifestations of the one Spirit through the use of science of mind principles. We recognize that our thoughts create our journey, and by affirming love, faith, compassion, and joy, we attract beauty, peace, and purpose into our lives. We give thanks for our uniqueness and our diversity of life, while we celebrate the one life that is all life, God's life. We come together each Sunday to hear inspiring messages by our minister, Reverend Elzia Sekou, and our various guest speakers, as well as share in fellowship and collective conversations. Plus, we trust you will be inspired by our special guest musicians. And now, here is our opening song, The Garden by Eddie Watkins, Jr.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden, that garden is you. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden, that garden is you. Such a beautiful garden, that garden is you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Denver. My name's Tim Hancock, and I'm a practitioner here at the center. And I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs and take a breath, a nice cleansing breath, and exhale. And take another breath, and it's exhale. And if it's comfortable for you, gently close your eyes and just move into the oneness, the connectedness of the divine, that one spirit, that one power, that one infinite love that is in, through, and around each and every one of us. And just relax and bathe into that love. Allow it to flow freely throughout your entire body, nourishing everything, mentally, spiritually, physically. And just relax into the knowing that divine is always with you, and knowing that you are blessed. And we know that this service is blessed with the words of Reverend Mark, with my reading, with the consciousness of love that is in this room and that is spreading throughout Denver, throughout Colorado, and throughout the United States and throughout the world. And we bless the monks as they are on their final week of walking through the South for peace, knowing that their consciousness is igniting a world consciousness of peace. And so as we move into this service, we relax, we allow ourselves to enjoy the love, the compassion, the presence of the one divine. And so it is. And our reading today is from the Living the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. While we admire the intellect, we must realize that the intellect is not the creative factor in the universe. Rather, it is the feeling that is creative. The real creative power of the mind is deeper than the intellect. It passes into the realm of feeling and acceptance, yet it is the intellect or the self-conscious facilities that must speak the word in order that every obstruction may be cleared away. We could coin no better expression than to say that God speaks to the heart through a language of feeling, a feeling which is affirmative. To all treatments, no matter how intellectually or analytically correct they may be, there must be added this deep feeling and conviction that enables one to commune with the invisible. This is what the artist feels. In a sense, he weds himself to the essence of beauty and draws it into his own being until beauty becomes diffused. Then intellect stands in awe before the supreme reality, yet still knowing that it is the essence of its true being waiting to become articulate. Of course, it is well to combine the intellect and feeling and to use both the head and the heart, for the intellect gives a definite form to the feeling. But unless the feeling is there, the intellect will merely have provided the empty mold. And further from Ernest Holmes, from the essential Ernest Holmes, refuse to let yourself be misunderstood or misunderstanding. Know that everyone wants you to have the best. Affirm this wherever you go, and you will find things just as you wish them to be. And now we have Bob Sima with his musical selection of It's Time.
It's time, it's time, it's time, it's time, it's time. It's another day on in disguise. You're the universe in a static motion. You're the elixir, the magic potion. You're a world that cries for what's behind your eyes. So if your glass is half empty, then fill it. If it's overflowing, then spill it. Over the mouths that thirst and the souls that hurt. Fill it, fill it, fill it, 'cause we need your heart. Need it open wide. We need your brilliantly beaming glow and the knowing the goodness from inside. We need your beautiful smile, and we need it right now. 'Cause you're the light of the world, the light of the world. And it's time you figured it out. It's time, it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time to be true, to be the beautiful you, to let your soul smile through your eyes. Because you're one little light can light 10,000 more. Together we will. Together we will. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. Yeah, there's a celebration in the streets. Brothers and sisters, they finally meet. All these orphans under the same sun, same sky. There's a glow on the horizon. Shiva calling, Shakti rising. There are so many signs, 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 signs. And we need your heart. We need it open wide. We need your brilliantly beaming glow and knowing the goodness from inside. We need your beautiful smile, and we need it right now. 'Cause you're the light of the world, the light of the world. And it's time you figured it out. It's time, it's time.
Time for me to get up here and do a talk, I think. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be back with you here at CSL Denver. Hello to everybody in the room. Hello to you who are watching online, either live or later in the time delay fashion we often do by watching the recording. Appreciate you spending some time with us this morning, and I hope that this time is beneficial for you, that this message serves you in some capacity. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to start with a story. So I like stories. We all like stories. A couple of comments about stories before I start the story is that stories often are, there's a saying that says that our lives are like a parenthesis in eternity. There's this vast array of time going on forever with all of these events, and that our life starts and stops. And within this time frame that we're in the world, our life is like a parenthesis in the eternity of time. Similarly, when we tell stories, we can see it in the same light. Every story we tell is a parenthesis within the events of someone's life or a group of people's lives. And that's what this story is. It has a beginning parenthesis that opens the time, and then it has a closing parenthesis on it. But we have to recognize that the impacts of the story really starts way before where the parenthesis starts, and it continues on beyond the closing parentheses. So it's just a snapshot within an overall structure. That's point one about a story. Point two is that every story you hear has a perspective that bleeds into the story based on the person who's telling the story. That their attitudes and beliefs and thoughts sort of flavor the story so they can guide the story to sort of give you the message that they want. Now, the story I'm going to be telling is about a young man and his transition from childhood to adulthood. And the story is it's about a young guy named Mark. Now, there's no coincidence that Mark's name is my name, because Mark's story is my history. And so I'm very well aware of this particular story. But I'm going to try to keep my bias about the story out and just tell you the facts, ma'am, about the story. And it hopefully we can come back and talk about how I, through the years, have changed the flavor of the story as well. Now, this story begins, the first parentheses is with the graduation from high school and the decision to go to college. Now, Mark, in his life, he sort of floated through high school and life and automatically went to college. And if you ask him why he was going to college, he would have said simply because that's what it was expected that I did, that my family said I was going to go to college. My father and mother, Mark's father and mother wanted him to go to college. His brother had gone to college. And so everybody around him, that was the thing that you did. There was no conscious thoughts around it. But there was some subconscious stuff. If we look back on his life, we can recognize that perhaps he had some subconscious beliefs that said, you go to college, this is the steps to adulthood, go to college, get married, have children, get a career. You go through those 4 steps, you've made the transition from childhood into adulthood. And now he didn't recognize that. Mark was sort of clueless at this point in time. The only thing he was really sort of interested in was girls. And so that was the only thing he really focused his energy and emotions and thoughts regarding. But he went to college. And one of the first things they did in college, and this is key to the story, were 2 things. First, they gave him a battery of tests. And this battery of tests said, okay, what are you interested in? This one of the tests did this. And they sort of matched his interest to careers. And they said, people who act and think and like the things you like typically go into these careers. And there was an array of, percentages and so forth. But 4 things stood off on the chart, 4 broad areas, pointed Mark in the direction that his interest seemed to say, these are the areas you probably ought to go to. One was psychologist. Sounded kind of interesting. Secondly was counselor. Third was teacher. Now, Mark listened to all of those and he resonated with them. It's interesting that as you're looking back on this little aptitude test that he took, there was a 4th thing that stood out on the chart, minister. And he immediately just discounted that one. That one was, in fact, he scoffed it, laughed at it, and said, no way in hell am I being a minister. And but the others sounded intriguing. So with those armed with the knowledge of psychology and counselor and teacher, he began his college. And the next thing that they did is they said, you need to declare a major so we can make sure you're taking the right classes to lead to the degree that you need. And so he looked at the test he had taken and said, well, let's just make it psychology. That sounded kind of interesting. So he started majoring in psychology and minoring in education. And he moved on in his life. So Mark is making that first decisions and first actions that are sort of moving him from being clueless and planless as a child into adulthood, where he had to go to school and subconsciously didn't realize in his conscious awareness, marriage, kids, career, that comes later. So he locks into college and he's having a good time going to college. And yes, girls were a part of that. But a couple of years into college, he has sort of a couple of curveballs come at him to change things for him. The very first thing was he ups and gets married. Now, this has surprised all his friends because he dated this girl only for a short period of time, known her for a long time, but dated her for a short period of time. And they decide to elope and they go off and they come back and they tell everybody they're married. Everybody thought, what the hell happened to Mark? That he would do that. He seems so logical. And so this curveball says he's married. And the second thing that happened was about 5 months later, she was pregnant. So we were having our first child. So here I am in the summer between 2nd and 3rd years of a 4-year college plan, where I'm now in college, married, and have a kid on the way. Or Mark did. And so as Mark has this experience of going along, this fact that his wife is pregnant was a key point for shifting him from childhood to adulthood. He realized he had to grow up pretty damn fast because he's going to have a child to take care of. And so for the first time in his life, Mark started being planful. And Mark started thinking about what is it he needed to do to move from the state of childhood into adulthood. And as he looked around at his life, he said, well, I got to get a career and I got to get out of college and have an income coming in to take care of a family. How could he do that? This is where he set his plan in motion. He looked at, okay, I am currently in the beginning stages of year 3 of college, but I've got a year and a half to go. But if I double up my course loads and I go through the summer after the 3rd year, I can graduate at the end of the summer. Baby's due in September. I can make this work. I can be out of college. So he puts a plan in place to begin doubling up his classes and working towards that. But working towards what? He's going to be out. What about the career? Well, this psychology stuff sounds kind of interesting. Now, to be honest, Mark found part of psychology to be boring and irrelevant. He was learning about the teachings of B.F. Skinner and behavioralism, for those of you familiar with psychology, the materialist aspects of psychology as a material science, and found that irrelevant to his life. There was also a lot of stuff about abnormal psychology, but he didn't care for that either. What he really liked, though, was he was learning about some of the transpersonal psychologists like Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. And that did resonate with him. And in that final year, he actually took a class that delved into the nature of consciousness. And that really ignited him. He said, maybe I can make this psychology thing work. So he created in his mind the vision that he was going to become a college professor who taught psychology classes focusing primarily on consciousness. And that was his vision. Got to go out. But hey, we got to also admit that to be a college professor, you had to have advanced degrees. So finishing college meant he had to go on into graduate school. So he researches that and determines that, let's take the test, let's do what we do. He goes through all the steps immediately and gets accepted into the graduate psychology program before he graduates. So he's moving forward now. He's going to graduate in 3 years. He's already accepted into graduate school. He's got his career plan, but he has to have an intermediate career to have that money coming in. Education, teacher. So he begins the process to finish up and get a teaching certificate so he can teach high school. So I'll graduate, he says. I'll teach high school and have my child and then go into graduate school and become a college professor in psychology. Very quickly, Mark went from clueless to having a plan, and he starts putting the plan in motion. And everything works. Everything works to a degree. Within a 10-day period at the end of August and beginning of September of that year, he has the following events happen. He graduates from college. He starts a new job as a teacher, more on that in a second. And he has the birth of his first child, all in the span of 10 days. Now, how did he get a teaching job? This is kind of interesting because at the time they said, there's no way in hell you're going to get a teaching job. It was hard to get teaching jobs at the time. But he said, I know what to do. I'm going to put all my heart and energy into this. And he applied to school districts that were within a big circle of where he lived for like 300 miles. Into 4 different states were involved in putting applications in to be a teacher. And he only gets one bite, one nibble, one person or a school district that shows any interest. And it happens to be the one he's already living in. The city that he's living in says, we would like to interview and hire you. Well, they interview first, and then they sat down and said, we would like to hire you. Now, it's interesting. The reason they wanted to hire him is it was a high school starting a psychology program for their seniors. And they needed somebody who was certified in teaching psychology. Well, I was getting that psychology degree, getting the teaching certificate. So I think I was the only one that met the qualifications for them to hire this psychology teacher for high school. They said, however, we only have 2 senior areas of psychology you can teach. But we need to teach 9th grade history classes, which was history and civics, 2 different classes. I said, I can do that. Okay. So they hire Mark, and he starts into teaching. He's got a new child. He begins his career as a high school teacher. He's making his plans, takes some time off from college because he wants to get settled as a teacher and then start his career into postgraduate studies. And he begins teaching at this inner city high school. The inner city high school, everything goes swimmingly well. He takes to the teaching. Even though he's working long hours, he's doing the prep work at night and up until the time he goes to bed. He's got his new baby that he really loves, Melanie, and it was just a wonderful experience having the child. Everything is going well, except the long hours are kind of hard for him. He's got students who are engaged. His work plans that he's put together for his classes are all going well. For both the 9th grade class of history and the senior psychology classes. And then He's also got students who are coming to him. He recognizes there's a problem with reading. A lot of the young boys, young men who are in the 9th grade classes don't know how to read. And so I'm trying to get them to read history books. It's difficult when they can't even read. He has a cadre of young men who are coming in with him at lunchtime, going through and practicing reading with him. He feels like he's making a difference, This is all working out perfectly. But our story takes a turn about 6 weeks in. And that's when the principal for the school comes in and calls him into his office and says, we're going to need to change your schedule. And informs Mark that from that point forward, he'll still have the 2 psychology classes, but he's now going to be teaching the civics classes rather than the history classes, and beginning today, in fact. And here's your book, and get going. And in fact, he gives him more classes than he is legally supposed to have. Mark tries to call attention to that, but the principal says, just go and do it. So he goes off, and now he's got to immediately replan for a new set of classes, and it gets him a little discouraged. And things start cascading into the classroom. And he feels his tiredness, and he feels his life is not panning out perfectly. Psychology classes are going well, but he's beginning to have behavioral issues in the classes. He's got too many students he has to deal with. He's lost his free period that he used to do some planning work in. Has to do all of that at night. And about a month after that, the principal calls him in and says, comes to my attention, you've been given too many classes. We're going to shift your schedule again. But this time, it's now to take away all of those civics classes and to give him nothing but study halls, plus the 2 psychology classes. If you've ever been a teacher, a day of monitoring study halls is not a good experience. Let me just say that. And so Mark jumps into that, and life just continues spiraling down. He notices how teachers around him are quitting for various reasons. And he's noticing that he himself doesn't want to go to work anymore. And he gets up and he's realizing that he's ill every morning, throwing up every morning before he goes to work. And that cascades into his actions and attitudes and what he brings to school. And then finally, to sort of come to the closure of this story, he realizes that he needs to quit for his own health. And he has to make a change. But he is recognizing he's got responsibilities. So he calls the place he used to work for while he was going through college part-time, and they give him a job temporarily full-time. And he calls his father and gives him a heads up and says, I may need financial support. And his father agreed to that if necessary. So the story sort of ends there, but there is a coda to it. He goes on in life, and he never goes back and goes to that psychology degree. He goes on to have a successful career, a secular career, raising a successful family of 5 beautiful children who are all adults and living wonderful lives. But that career, that mindset, and that vision for teaching psychology and being a college professor went by the wayside that day. Now, although his life has turned out, and there's great irony in the fact that later in life, he comes back and gets a graduate degree in consciousness studies through Holmes Institute. So in a way, it does come to fruition late in life. And he does become, ironically enough, a minister, something that he avoided in that youth because the minister that he knew when he was younger was the fundamentalist ministers of his neighborhoods in South and his experience. And that certainly did resonate with him, but he had to learn there was a different path to ministry and a different attitude of how he could teach us in ministry. So he does become that. It's a great irony in that. Now, I tell that story for a couple of reasons. One is we all have these experiences. We all have these choice points of life events where life throws us a curveball and we think we're going in one direction and it takes us in a different direction. We all have those. And in fact, Mark had plenty more of them in his story. If we went on and we could talk about deaths and loss and divorces and jobs that he didn't get and the paths he followed and paths he didn't. And we all have those moments in our life. If we look back and reflect upon our life, we all have these major events that impact the direction of the stories of our individual histories. And where are yours in this moment? Where are those moments when you had a choice point or a turning point or something happened to you that it puts you in a different direction than where you were going. As you think about that, I want you to think about something else. I'm going to tell you another quick story. This one's quicker, but it's about the story of telling the story. Because Mark told this story for many years, but how he's told the story evolved over his lifetime. As Mark evolved, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, his telling of the story of this major event of the movement from childhood into adulthood and this major time frame in his life where so much things got set in motion changed from the early days, and for many years the story was told with the principal as the bad guy, the principal who had it out for Mark, the principal who made Mark suffer. He came in and did this, and I left out tons of details of things that the principal did to Mark. And for many years, that was my story. I was victim to the principal and to the events of what were going on. But as I got older and later in life, and I started reflecting upon it, I realized, hey, I played a role in the story too. I looked back on it and said, if only I had been more mature, if I only had understand life better, if only I had the mental and emotional skills to deal with what life was throwing at me, there could have been a different outcome. So it wasn't just the principal. I had a role in this as well. And for many years, the way I told the story was I was just too immature to handle what life was throwing at me. But it recognized my role in it. In both cases, the external entity of the principal and the system punished or served to harm Mark, the separate individual. But in the flip side, Mark, this individual, becomes now the teller of the story and the agent of that did this to himself in some degree, that brought this on. But then the story changed again. And then later in life, the story became more along the lines of, well, as I look at my life, it all worked out perfectly. I ended up having a good life. And yes, this was the plan. And yes, I was immature. And yes, the principal probably had some stuff going on. But look at how interesting it was that both the life of the principal and everybody surrounding me and me and where I was in my life and all of the events of this story transpired or coordinated themselves to create a different life for me, a life that's even probably greater and grander than the life I thought I was going to have. So the telling of the story, when I used to tell this story, because I don't tell it much anymore, used to be about the fact that the universe came together in its infinite wisdom and wonderness to create a beautiful and glorious life for Mark, where he now sees himself still a little bit as a separate entity in this vast universe, but this universe has this interplay of everything interconnected that's serving everything for its greatest growth. Now, if you've been to any of our classes, I probably have walked you through something that's taught when we teach the aspects or one way of looking at spiritual evolution. Many of our classes like to teach a model that says a person evolves spiritually when they move through 4 stages. The first stage is life is done to you. You're a victim. And my initial telling of the story marks the victim to the principal and the events. But when you come to our classes, one of the first things we try to do is to get you out of victim consciousness and see the role that you play in the creation of your life through your thoughts, through your words, and through your deeds, and who you are. It's done in the initial step, life is done to you. In the second step, life is done by you. You're still a separate entity, but you're now taking control of your life and not seeing yourself subject to the whims of what's going on in life. The third step of this evolutionary model is to teach that life is done through you, through you. This step recognizes that the universe, in its vast wisdom and glory, is flowing through you, something that is a divine perfection for the universe at large, in which you are a part. You start seeing yourself as a connected part of this vast array of life, and that it's working for you. It's working for you. There is a fourth step here. There is a fourth step, which I'm going to come back to in just a moment. But to you, by you, through you. most people who come to our class learn and process this path. They stay, if they practice the principles of science of mind, they become out of victim consciousness to take control of their lives and see how their lives interplays with the large spectrum of this wonderful universe in which we live. But there's still a part of us that hangs on to us, even at that third level, when we can stay in that third level, which is a good thing, good place to be. A part of us still sees ourselves as this separate entity that is part of this vast array of a web of the universe. So when you think about your events in life that were those challenges, how do you tell the story? You go back and say, woe is me, look how life, screwed me over. Or do you look at it and say, at this point, this happened and I had a role to play in it? Or do you see, and this third step often comes only with distance and time, is do you see the vast perfection that played out through the playing of those events? And where are you? And if you have a story that you're still stuck in the first level, I would invite you to think about this week. Later on, we're going to have a call to action, et cetera. But that's one of the things I want you to invite you to do, is to look at where are you still telling the old victim stories in any area of your life, and how can you move up to seeing your role in the creation of that? And even furthermore, how it's maybe served you through this vast interplay of the universe. Okay. Look at your lives and see where you can evolve in the telling and understanding of the stories of your life so that you can see them from a higher perspective. Okay. Now, I said there is a fourth step that we teach in this evolutionary model. It's done to me, it's done by me, it's done through me. And the fourth step is done as me, as me. And, to be honest, with all the years I've been in science of mind and all the classes I've taught and all the people I've dealt with, I think most people in science of mind would acknowledge it's few and far between do we have people who get into that fourth step and to any high degree of time stay in that step. Now, what's the difference between the third step and the fourth step? What does it mean between through me or as me? Well, I think to be honest, I think we're at an as me moment in our planet right now. As me is calling us to recognize that we're not separate. In the third step, we're separate people who are in this mix of a system of the universe. But when we move to the fourth step, we break down any sense of separation between ourselves and the universe and the world at large. We move into what many of the mystics call a non-dual state of consciousness. We live from a state of recognizing that everything, spirit, God, every person, is part of a vast oneness, and that we are all experiencing this experience for the bliss of God. What does that mean? It means that God, the Spirit, the all, through this story of Mark coming to manhood, through my life, through Mark's life and my life, this history that I've been telling you about, all the events of it were for the bliss of God to experience that, including the negative things. And a lot of times it's hard for us to see, how can the negativity be for the bliss of the divine? And it's because we have a limited perspective. We have a human perspective. As much as we grow into spiritual awareness, we still cling to that human perspective that sees things from a very limited take on it. And what these higher callings and being life as us is to see life through the eyes of spirit, through the eyes of God, and recognize that my life, the principle's life, your life, the entire story that I've told, including how the story evolved through time and Mark's conscious evolution to see his life differently, all of that is part of this divine dance. And that everything that is occurring now in the lives of every person everywhere, including the collective of this planet, is all spirit dancing and all of these lives expressing as these people. It calls us to move and make a shift more from identifying with our individuality to seeing ourselves as individualized expressions within the unity of oneness. Letting go of, and it sounds very nebulous at the beginning, I do get this, but we need to let go of the sense that we are separate people who have these names and histories, and to see ourselves as part of, and our identity is created by the non-duality of the reality in which we find ourselves moving and having our being. How do we do that? Spiritual practices, meditation. There's a wonderful technique taught by an Indian teacher from last century called Ramana Maharshi, who basically said that we could go through a process of what he called self-realization or self-inquiry. The whole process is to continuously reflect upon the question of who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Am I a victim to otherworldly events? Who am I? Am I a player who had to play a role of worldly events? Who am I? Am I the person who is in a part of this orchestration of a story of things lining up for that I? Or who am I? Or is that I that is in me greater and grander? Is it an I that is the divine expressing and living its life as me? And it is. It is. But we have to meet it where we are. We have to meet it where we are. And the question is, where are you today? Do we look at our lives as being this separate entity that we're a victim to the world? Are we recognizing we're co-creators of the world through our actions, our words and thoughts? Are we seeing ourselves as part of this cog of the interlocking machinery of the oneness of life? Or have we moved to the state where we can begin to see the kernels of how spirit is expressing in us, and that we are part of that, and let go of our attachment to our word, our stories, our limitations, our old way of seeing ourselves. It's a shift at that level 3 to level 4. It's very, very important this time for us to recognize this world is all one world expressing as the God and the divine. I'll be very honest. There is a slip sliding away that goes in our consciousness when we bump into things in life that are less than what we want. And as much as we can be living in through me consciousness, all we have to have is somebody cut us off in the freeway, or the worldly political events that are going on right now, to make us slide down to becoming, maybe if we're good, cling to that what's mine to do and be stage and not slide into victimhood. But if we're wise, we can look at the events going on, no matter what they are, individually in your life or collectively in what's going on in the world, and say, how is this divine dance being orchestrated for the greatest good for everybody? How is this an evolutionary process that is moving us to the greatest expression of humanity on this planet? And if we can truly get to it, move to the space of seeing how are the events of the world calling us to see God expressing through this. That this is all God experiencing life as God for the bliss of the divine. That's a tough call, I get it. But it's something we're all called to do, to let go of the lower levels of consciousness and to evolve and stay steady in the higher states to the degree we can. So to that degree, we got a couple of slides we want to show you that are a call to action. And Diego, if you want to throw up the first slide. The call to action I'm inviting you to do is to answer this to yourself, or you can journal about it. This is a good practice. Is what discomfort am I experiencing in life? And how is it calling me to grow? What's the discomfort you've got right now? You know, I would add to that, if you want to also journal on what's the story you're telling us yourself about events in your life, and how can you move your story forward? That would be great for you to do as well. Evolve your storytelling about your history to reflect its highest possibilities. And the other thing, let's go to the other one slide, Diego, is we have an affirmation. Let's all read this and affirm it together. I am living and expressing life as my true self each day. As you look at that affirmation, I want you to notice that the words T and true and essence self are both capitalized. So when we're talking about your true self, I'm not talking about you being authentic to what you believe your life is about, but living and expressing your life with a capital L, God, Spirit, as your true self, which is God or Spirit. These will be issued out, I think, on the website or as emails by CSL Denver. So if you're on the mailing list, you'll get them in writing. But I would encourage you all to think about this. Think about where you are finding limitations in your life and how you can move beyond them. Is it something going on in your personal life? Or are you struck numb by the events of the world? And where can there be learning for you and an opportunity for a call for your greatest expression and your greatest evolution? So let's go into prayer in this moment. As we shift our energy and attention inward, we do so with a sense that there is only one life, that life is expressing through us, that we are each individual pockets of God, where we express our lives to the bliss of the divine, that God, the all, the thing itself, not only gives us the gift of this life, but it experiences its collective life through each and every one of us. And I know that every person here is called to grow and evolve, to take this individualized life gift they've been given and to move beyond any limitations and to move to the state of knowing and sensing the highest for what their life can be in this moment and continuing forward through time. And as they do so, they let go of what no longer serves them, and they claim and bring forth into their awareness everything that will serve their further evolution. We no longer serve as victims. We know that we are the masters of our domain, that we move forward in life, not only controlling our individual lives, but serving as a beacon to others, to bringing forth the highest expression of life, love, and light on this planet. So with that anchored into our awareness, I simply give thanks. I give thanks for life itself, for the blessings of this community, and for all those individuals who are going forward and making this world a world that works for all. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Mark. And we are so grateful and blessed for everyone's support of Center for Spiritual Living Denver, whether it's in your time, treasure, or talent, and especially during these times of change. Whether this is your first time joining us or you're a returning community member, we want to thank you for your continued financial support and the important work we're striving to provide. Right now, there are several ways that you can make your financial contribution to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver. The information's running across the bottom of the screen, or you can go to our website, hit the donate button, or do it the old-fashioned way, mail it check to our post office box, or give to text, or text to give number. You can place your gift in the basket here if you're in the room right now. However you do it, we are grateful for your gifts, and please know that this helps keep our doors open. So now please place your gift or your hand over your heart and repeat with me. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. Okay, now we have a couple of announcements. We still have a couple January, February Signs of Mine magazines over on the table for sale. You can still purchase it. They are $10 a piece, and you can just put the money in the jar over there. The magazine is a bi-monthly magazine, and we also have older magazines on the table for free. We have some remaining handouts from last month's Community Cafe about the TED Talks revisited, and we have a few CSL Denver pens, so help yourself to one or two. We have a couple magnetic bookmarks that have affirmations on it. Go ahead and look at them and see if anything strikes you, and you're welcome to them. Our Curiosity Corner is at the back of the room for those who are here. We have some new items this week, and we'll have newer ones next week. We set up a bargain basement, which everything is $1 on that table. So please go ahead and look over, and if you see anything you like, just go ahead and put your money in the tray that's on the table. And we are blessed to have New Thought Media Network and Diego as our Sunday provider. We invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org and check out what they have. They have over 40 hours of weekly broadcast. And we are truly blessed by everyone who's chosen to support Center for Spiritual Living Denver by showing up on Sunday or watching our services online. We know that as we move through the rest of the year, the Divine Beloved is guiding and loving each and every one of us. Thank you for joining us. Now let's close out with Karen Drucker singing I Am So Grateful. And for those in the room, please join us for fellowship afterwards. Thank you.